Good morning or good afternoon. It's Wednesday, the 24th September. Welcome to my weekly update, which I'll do every week, all about how to land your ideal job. Now, um, the job market, let me just be completely blunt about this. The current job market is absolutely broken. Okay, some probably won't agree with me, but others will. And the reason why that is because candidates are struggling. They're struggling to get jobs. The jobs that are posted, they're getting no response. They're sending CVs and they're getting ghosted. They're not getting interview feedback. At the same time, the demand for talented, skilled people is high. Now, this is something that's crept in the last 3 or 4 years. Perhaps phone calls are seen as invasive to a lot of people, and people want to take control by dealing with things on WhatsApp or email. But let's fix this, because a lot of candidates, we see all these open to work profiles, and I'm urgently looking and all this, but they're putting all their resources into the wrong thing, completely the wrong thing. So let's go through. There's 6 things why I think the job market is broken, and there's 6 tips that I'm going to give you for each and every one of these issues. So let me just bring up the slides here, and I'll go through some of the problems and how you deal with them. Okay. So the first one is standing out. Apparently, for every posted job, there's 250 applicants per role. So generic CVs just don't cut it. Okay, so how do you get around this problem? Well, there are 2 things. Number one is generic CVs don't cut it. So for people who've got to put more energy when they apply for jobs, so they look at a job spec and they can tailor their CV for each job role that they go for. Now, people might think that's time consuming, but if you're using things like Chat GPT, it's pretty easy to put in a job spec and ask it to update your CV compared to the job spec. Obviously, you don't include in your CV any experience you actually don't have. You include all the relevant experience. Once you get the CV from Chat GPT, we make sure that we would advise you to tailor it into your kind of own format or own words, because it's pretty easy to spot the Chat GPT CVs. But if you do that, the chances are that your CV will get picked up, because they're scanned. A lot of them are scanned by AI for posted jobs, or they're scanned through ATS systems. Okay, so make sure you tailor your CV. Okay, so how else do you get around this problem? Well, I'll come on to this, and I've talked about this in my last videos. You stop applying for all those posted jobs, okay, or you put less energy into it. Only 20% of the jobs are actually posted. The other 80% are out there, and they're private, and that you find those roles by approaching managers or decision makers, and not by approaching HR. So put less energy into it for a start. Okay, if you are going to send your CV, there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, but make sure it's tailored for the specific role. Okay, so the next problem is LinkedIn. So this is where people get it wrong when they make a job application. If a company likes your CV or your profile, they can check you out on LinkedIn. And if you're not there on LinkedIn, and I've done loads of videos on this, just look at my channel. If your LinkedIn profile is not right and it doesn't reflect your CV for a start, then you're going to get posted or eliminated from the process. So make sure you've got your LinkedIn bio. Your LinkedIn bio should be completely finalized before you even do your CV. In actual fact, and I've done posts on this talking about your LinkedIn bio, about how you get headhunted, in terms of including keywords in your LinkedIn bio. So if you're a corporate lawyer, for example, make sure you got the buzzword corporate M&A in your profile. Look at my videos. I've explained how recruiters work, but you've got to include your technical experience in your LinkedIn bio. to get picked up. But another thing that people overlook is posts and comments. If you're commenting in a way that's not favorable, doesn't present you in the best light, it's going to get picked up. HR will be using LinkedIn really as a reference check on you. So make sure your LinkedIn profile is correct, okay, before you post, before you even apply for a job. Okay, the third problem is a lack of feedback. Okay, 80% of applications get no reply. Ghosting is actually the norm. Okay, so what does this mean? Well, chances are when you send your CV for a posted job, you get no feedback whatsoever. Okay, HR people are busy. They've got loads of applications. I've said they've got over 250 per posted job. So once again, how do you get around this problem? Well, you stop applying for posted jobs. Okay, you do direct outreach, which I will come on to in a minute. But if you are going to do posted jobs, which once again I will stress is fine, I just don't think you should put all your efforts into that. When you send your CV, make sure you call them up. You call up the person that you're sending your CV to so it gets noticed. Okay, do that. It will make sure that your CV is put up, well, maybe at the top of the pile, but it will certainly get read. Okay, so the third issue, and it isn't an issue, this is more of an opportunity, is networking. 70 to 80%, I actually think it's 80% of the roles are never advertised. So your network is your market. So, for example, how do you deal with this? This is a direct outreach process I talk about. We do this as recruiters, and it works. And I can say in over 22 years of doing recruitment that pretty much 80% of my success is direct outreach. So how does this work? So say, for example, you're, I've mentioned this before, you're an estate agent and you're working in Bristol. You can go onto LinkedIn and you can find all the estate agents that are based in Bristol on LinkedIn. You go to the decision maker, i.e. by decision maker, I mean the head of the office, or the managing partner, CEO, whatever. You go to them and you get their email address, which is quite easy. Most email addresses are now on websites, and you email them and you say, dear Joe, I hope you're well. I'm currently working as an estate agent in Bristol. I'm potentially interested in exploring new opportunities. I can see that what I do, there's a great synergy between what I do and what you do. Would you be interested in having an informal discussion with me? That's a direct outreach. It's not a formal application. It's an informal approach. If the person that you are contacting is looking or they're busy, chances are that they're going to say, yeah, let's have a chat. Okay, that basically means you completely negated the process of having to make a formal application. You caught them, the employer, at the right time. So Joe, who works for an estate agent in Bristol, might be looking for a letting agent, but the first thing he's going to do before he post a job is he's going to go to his network to see who he knows and his staff for referrals. I'd probably say about 70% of jobs as well, people don't want to post them on job adverts. They're expensive for a lot of small companies to do. It's only the big companies that invest a lot of money in advertising job roles. Okay, so that's how you go to decision makers with a direct outreach approach. It's a free world. Everyone can do it. There's nothing wrong with it. And that's where you'll find the opportunities. And just think about this. If you find that opportunity at that estate agent in Bristol, you're not up against 250 other applications. It's just your CV that's gone there. And to them, it's an easy option. For them, they think that they don't have to waste time going through applications. You tick the boxes. So basically, that's the way to do it. Use your network, and you don't have to be connected to loads of people to do that. You don't have to be connected to anyone. You can find them and just approach them. Okay, so that's basically like what I would do on that issue. The next thing is like interview performance. This is a big thing. A lot of people just go for interviews and they wing it completely. They don't do the preparation. I've done loads of videos on preparation, you look at the company, you assess what your weaknesses are from your CV. You talk about your strengths in relation to the job spec. That basically means the technical experience you've got in relation to the job spec. And you ask them 2 or 3 questions. Please ignore the bullshit videos that you see from people on YouTube when they say, oh, you know, it's a 2-way process. No, they're interviewing you. Okay. So don't ask them loads of questions at the end. Just ask them 2 or 3 questions about the job role. It's you that's being interviewed, and we have to be respectful of that process. If you start trying to ask them too many questions, they will switch off. But the one statistic that comes out from interview preparation is 93% of hiring managers say soft skills will decide the outcomes. So soft skills. So what they mean by that is talking about your CV, and they'll mention a specific experience that you have, and they'll say to you, okay, you've done this. Tell me about this. Were you under pressure? How did you delegate work? Okay, so they'll be looking at your management. How did you communicate to other staff? So they're looking at soft skills. They're looking at how you've related that experience in dealing with other people. So basically prepare for the interview, and make sure you're prepared to talk about it. Make sure you're prepared to talk about your soft skills. So that's leadership, delegation, management, communication, how you get on, how you persuade, how you influence. These things are key. So you've got to prepare for your meeting. I did a video on this last week. If you're asked to go for an informal meeting, it's just an initial chat. Crap. It's an interview. Prepare like it's an interview. Okay. If you're on your 4th interview at a company, don't drop your guard. Don't be afraid that you're repeating what you said earlier. You prepare every time like it's a first interview. So be on your guard. Be prepared to sell your experience and your skill set. Okay. And then you'll show yourself in the best light. Okay. So the 5th thing is salary negotiation. I mean, this is just crazy. 60% of candidates, when they get an offer, never ever negotiate on salaries. Like, why? If you negotiate, you can earn 7 to 10% more. And I've done a video on this as well. When you get your job offer, okay, from a company, there's 2 ways to negotiate. Okay, the first way is it's playing hardball. It's a take it or leave it option. I want £100,000, not 95. If you don't give me 100, I'm off elsewhere. So you're nailing your colours to a mast, and you've got to be prepared to take it or leave it. When do you do that? When you've got other offers and you've got other fallbacks. You can play hardball. Okay. When you don't do it is when you haven't got anything else on the table. How could you possibly, why do you want to lose a good offer just to try and increase your salary? Okay. So that falls into the second way of negotiation, which is the gentle pushing and prodding. And what you do in that instance is you say, look, dear Joe, thanks for offering me 95. Look, very interested in the role. I've done my market research. I think the market rate is probably 100, actually, from what I've seen. I want to start off on the market rate. Is there any way that this can be increased to 100? And see what they say. You can negotiate on there. You might meet in the middle. You might get 100, but negotiate. They're saying that if you negotiate, on average, people will get 7 to 10% more. So do it. Think about it and think how you're going to negotiate. At the same time, and I'll say, and I've done this with candidates countless times. I'll see a candidate get an amazing offer, and they want to negotiate. And still want to negotiate, and I'll say to them, look, I mean, I think you should be taking it with both hands. So negotiation is about being realistic. If you've got a great offer, there's no need to negotiate on the offer. So just think about what's there in front of you. Don't negotiate for the sake of it. It's got to be a great offer. So those are the things that I've seen this week. In terms of other matters that we've got, challenges that I've seen is when to give interview feedback was another one. person had an interview, when do they go back to the client and how do they go back to the client with their feedback? What you do is after the interview, you just say, thank you for your time. Look forward to hearing from you with the next steps. Enjoy meeting you. That's only if you like them. If you don't like them, you just wait for their feedback. So that's how you do the feedback. Feedback actually starts, and you should perhaps ask this question at every interview. I recommend it to all my candidates. At the end of the interview, say, look, nice meeting you. When do I expect to hear, and what would the next steps be? So there's a lot of things that you can't control in recruitment, but you try and give yourself clear indications of when you're going to hear. So you're not waiting on the end of the phone, waiting for feedback. You know that you're not going to get it for 2 weeks, so you're not bothered. So you need to be able to manage your emotion and your energy in job search. You need to be clear when you're going to hear. Overriding all of this, by the way, all of this is volume. You can say, oh, I'm so unlucky. I've been applying for loads of jobs. I haven't got any job offers. Let me give you the statistics again. If you're just going for posted jobs, they say 10%, max 10% of people that apply for a posted job, and that's only 20% of the market, will get an interview. So you've got like a 1 in 10 chance. I actually think it's less than that. I think it's less than 5%. Okay. When you go for an interview, the chances are statistically, if you go for a job interview, you've got a 1 in 4 chance of getting a job offer. So that basically brings you down to about 1%. Okay. And that's optimistic as well. When you get a job offer, there's probably a 1 in 2 chance you're going to take it. So that even brings you down to 0.5%. So for every, for every application or every 100 applications that you make for posted job offers, you've got 1%, probably less than 1% chance of getting a job. Obviously, if you go to the hidden job market, which is 80% of the market, you've got a much better chance. But it just shows you the volume of applications you have to do to get a job. You can't say that I've applied for 2 jobs and I'm not getting any interviews and I'm unlucky. No, that's bullshit. You're not applying for enough. You need to be applying for over 100 jobs, over 100, and you need to be doing direct outreach or focusing all your time on doing direct outreach. That's how you get jobs. All the other stuff you can prepare, get your LinkedIn bio right, tailor your CV for every job role. Lack of feedback, we discuss that at interview. You can always, when you send your CV, always chase them 7 days after you sent the CV, maybe 5 working days to get to make sure you get feedback. Interview performance, we discussed, you've got to talk about the softer skills in relation to your experience. And then when you get the job offer, you negotiate the job offer. You see what you can get. Chances are you're probably going to get 7 to 10% more in terms of salary. So I hope that gives you an overview. I'm going to be doing these live streams every Wednesday, just to help people navigate the job market. It is difficult out there at the moment, and people need a bit of honest guidance. I've got over 22 years experience of dealing with recruitment all over the world. I've dealt with all sorts of jurisdictions and countries and people, and I know the way that it works, and it's all about activity. For any lawyers who are watching on Thursday, I'm going to do just tomorrow. I'm going to do a weekly update on what I'm seeing in the job market for lawyers. Most weeks I'll focus on different countries. Tomorrow is going to be the GCC, the Middle East, probably Oman. Please, all of this content is free, and this is valuable stuff that I'm doing. So please do subscribe to the channel, because it does help get the content out and will help us bring this and deliver this to people. So have a great day, and if you watched, thank you for your time.